Good afternoon, everybody. Hello and welcome to the FIA Motorsport Games 2022 and the Fanatec Esports Cup. I am delighted to welcome you all here in the hall at the Circuit Paul Ricard and watching back at home, wherever you are, to what is going to be an incredible day of racing action as we're about to hit the grand finale of the Fanatec Esports Cup. And to help me introduce today's show and to welcome you all, I've got some very special guests up on stage that are going to have a quick word with us. And I'm going to start, if I can, with Stefan Rattel from SRO. Stefan, welcome. Can you tell me a little bit about how you feel to organise and to bring this great event together?
It's been, so far so good. It's been a great event. The number of participants, the number of nations, the weather, the number of spectators, it's all really a very big success.
Fantastic, it really is. It's been incredible so far. And next up, I'll have a quick word with Belma from Fanatec. Belma.
Hi.
Thank you for your involvement. Of course, Fanatec provide all this incredible equipment. How is it from your side? It's incredible to be part of something like this, isn't it?
It's amazing. I mean, I've been speechless when we arrived here with all the flags. I did not expect such a huge event because we haven't been involved in the last event. I hope we will make your dream come true, and it will be every second year. So it's great. I love the commitment. The crowd is actually also amazing. It's great to see so many people looking and just being passionate about what we are passionate about. So thank you so much, and we're looking forward for the finals.
Alban Adri, thank you very much. And now Marco Massaruto, if I may, the man or one of the men responsible, Cuno Simulazione and Assetto Corsa Competizione, the platform that we use. Marco continues to lead the way in esports, Assetto Corsa Competizione. It must be a very proud day for you.
Absolutely proud to be here and to be part of this thing that is like a dream that comes true, considering the way how we started, me and my friends, several years ago. So to see how the virtual motorsport is merging with real, it's just great. And the way, the possibility to meet all these people, sharing ideas, suggestions, complaints, let us to make us a better job, possibly. So it's very great to be here today, and we are very proud to represent the FIA Motorsport Games with our creature.
Thank you very much, Marco. And for the next game, make it an easier to pronounce title, please, because I really struggle on that one.
It will be.
Thank you very much. And now I'm going to speak to Eric Strana from the FIA. It's incredible to have the FIA so heavily involved with an event like this. How's it been from your perspective, the world of esports?
It's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of things going on. There's a lot of drivers, there's a lot of spectators, a lot of pressure, but fortunately we have a really great team helping out with race control and all the operations, all the tech guys, everyone involved. So this is a fantastic event. I'm so happy with the turnout. It's awesome to see the entire room filled here. So I'm really excited for this final.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eric. And last but by no means least, Alessio Ciccarale from AK Esports, that are involved in putting this whole experience together. Alessio, I've known you for a very long time. I've worked on a lot of projects together, but this is next level.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm so thankful to be honored to be here managing this stuff, and especially from a sim driver perspective, because I'm so excited to see the sim driver that normally I just watch online. We discuss on Discord and see them be cheered by their supported is something that never happened. So this is super. And on behalf of AK Esports, I would like to say good luck to everyone. That's the faster will win.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Marco, Stefan, Belma, Eric, and Alessio. If I could ask you to please join the crowd again. Thank you very much. A round of applause for our special guest, please. Thank you. And for the gentleman, Marco, letting people first. Thank you. So it's great to see such personalities involved up on stage telling us about their experience. And it's been an incredible experience up to this point as well. We've had the 3 quarterfinals, the 2 last chance races as well to bring the field in. And then we had our semi-finals earlier today and some incredible racing. It's sad to see so many drivers and so many nations having to say goodbye to them now. And that means we're down to the last 20 drivers that are going to be fighting, let's not forget, for gold, silver and bronze in this competition. So without further ado, much like we've done before, I'm going to invite the drivers up to come and get to their rigs before we get started. And I'm going to begin with the man that won the first semi-final of the day, representing the United Kingdom, Mr. James Baldwin. A round of applause. Fantastic stuff. And taking to his cockpit for Norway, Tommy Osgaard, please come on through. Now, plenty of drama befell this driver last time out, but from the Czech Republic, it's Martin Kelwick. Come through, please, Martin. Thank you. Have a check, sorry. Right, for Indonesia, the next driver up on stage, Presley Martono. Fantastic stuff. And for the Netherlands, the next driver up here, Chris Arteveld. Chris, come on up, please. Now that's what we call cheering. That's how we cheer. Nice stuff. Sota Muto for Japan. You are the next driver up on stage, please, sir. The next driver I'm going to call up here for Spain, Alberto Garcia Gomez, please come on up and into your rig. For Hong Kong, China, the next driver, Jonathan Wong. Fantastic stuff. Now, for Brazil, Igor Rodriguez, please come on through. People are looking a lot more cheerful coming on stage than they did earlier, so the pressure's starting to lift a bit. So for Malaysia, the next driver, Nakib Aslan. Our next driver I would like to call on the stage, all the way from Australia, Philippa Bakina, please come on through. And the next driver up on stage for Turkey is Ulas Oziredim. Hey. Haris Mitropoulos for Greece, you are next on up. And next up, the 17th driver we're calling up is Bence Banke for Slovakia. Not the 17th either, I can't count, obviously. For Poland, Marcin Swiderek is our next driver. Gloves on, ready to go, that's what we like to see. And now, Mikhail Matika for Croatia. From Singapore, our next driver, Mohamed Alif. And now, representing Belgium, the next driver we need is Matthias Quinn. For Germany, Konstantin Scharf, please come on up. And last, but by no means least, representing France on home soil, Alexandre Lay. Now, while our drivers are getting ready, if I could take this opportunity to ask you all once again, for everybody that's participating today and for everybody that's participated throughout the competition so far, the loudest clap and the loudest cheer for everybody involved. Go! Louder, louder! Fantastic stuff. And that is for all our drivers that are about to take part, that have been involved in the competition, for all the organisers, the sponsors, each and every person that's been involved. We spoke to a few of those key individuals already, but everybody that's been involved to put on a show of this scale. Mark my words, these are incredibly difficult things to put together. So many moving pieces, so many dependencies. It's an absolute work of art to see. A beautiful stage. We've got all these simulators, drivers from all over the world coming together to race for their country against each other in the same room on the same equipment for the possibility of contributing to their nation's medal haul in the 2022 FIA Motorsport Games. I never thought that I would get to the point where I could see something like this 10, 15 years ago when I first became involved in the world of virtual motorsport. So to see, I mean, Marco's nodding his head, he's been around as long as I have in this world, and to see how it's grown in stature and importance, to look at some of the faces that I recognize in the crowd, that are titans in the industry, and we've all come together for the same thing, the thing that we all absolutely love. Real, wrong way, real or virtual motorsport. It's all incredible, and these drivers are all superstars, and all the drivers that have been involved are absolute superstars. So, from me, Paul Jeffrey, from my man, Chaz Draycott, down there in the corner with the lights that are very, very warm, shining on him, we're about to get going. So make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're ready, because ladies and gents, boys and girls, here and at home, it's about time to do the Fanatec Esports Cup FIA Motorsport Games Grand Final. We'll start in a minute, so I'm going to throw to Chaz and get over there, and let's get some great racing. Have a good race, everybody. We'll see you in a moment.
Wonderfully put, Paul. Absolutely wonderfully put. Yes, this is what it all boils down to now. We had 57 nations at the start of this competition. We had so many races ahead of us, but before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition. So many drivers have tried to get to this point. So many drivers have made their hardest efforts to get to this point. Some, unfortunately, have not, but we have whittled it down to 20 of the finest in the world, and we have ourselves a wonderful finale lining up ahead of us. I cannot wait for this one. Paul, I'm sure, cannot wait, and we hope that everybody here in the arena and everybody watching at home cannot wait either, because the excitement, the atmosphere in here is buzzing. It really, really is. I think, to be honest with you, there are going to be a few dramas, a few spills in this race, but that is what a finale really needs. And to be honest, Paul, I think we've had some fantastic spills and drama already in our semi-finals. If they were anything to go by, with this being the final chance to prove yourself this weekend, this is going to be a belter.
Chaz, if I'm perfectly honest with you, we almost had a fantastic spill on the desk because we've got open cans of fizzy beverage and cables while trying to stay out of the screen of the camera. So that nearly went really, really wrong. But thankfully, all is good. We've moved them out of the way. So panic not, people at home. Health and safety first. We're okay. But no, jokes aside, you're absolutely right. It's been sensational. I say this all the time. I am often accused of being far too excitable. And I love racing. I really love racing, so I get excited over everything. But it's not an understatement. No. I can't overplay it enough. It has been sensational from beginning to end, from the drivers, the organisers, the event on site, been working with you for the first time, working with old faces, new faces, seeing some, from my point of view, seeing some sim racing names that I did not recognise before this event, which is a rarity for me, let's be honest. I know I've seen a lot of them. And to see how impressive they've been from beginning to end. Man,
it's bonkers. I mean, the performances, like we've both worked on different sims in the past from different corners of the globe, you know, and we've seen people come from just what we would maybe call club level, sort of like league organisers that are just a group of friends going racing, to globally organised world championships in the necessary sims. And, you know, we've seen each corner of that, and there's still names that you stumble across, and that's the beauty of sim racing. We always say, as commentators in motorsport, we can't know everybody. It's the same in sim racing, but because of how accessible it is and how inclusive it is, there's even more corners of the world for people to appear from, and there's great talents. And it is another fantastic way of showing the world those talents, rather than just the usual avenues of going through karting and Formula Series. People can do it from their own home without travelling the globe.
Yep. And actually, I want to talk a bit about that, if I can, while we've still got a few moments before we hit the formation lap. I've been involved with actually some of the people that are involved in this event, so AK Esports and SRO for the SRO Esports Championship, and we brought in the Asia region into the world stage, because there's not often globally recognised series.
Yeah.
But because of the way it works, because you're remote, and I'm not going to bore everybody here and at home with technical details, and frankly, I don't know them myself, but if you're a long far away from each other, it can make it a bit spicy on the internet connection, and you have difficulties on track.
Yes.
So you have to have their own championship, but broadcast globally, and then a Europeans traditionally their own championship. What's sensational about this is we're bringing all those nations together under one roof at the same time against each other, but at scale.
Yes.
So it's not just, I've been involved in other championships that I shall not name, where we've brought people in from different regions for a final, and maybe you've got 3 from Europe and 3 from North America, say. This is 57 drivers from across the globe, without fail, from across the globe. To me, and I touched on it a teeny bit on the stage, how things have moved from not even 10 years ago, to be perfectly honest, 5, 6 years ago, blows my mind each and every time.
It's crazy, honestly, it really is. I mean, I remember even when I first started sim racing, first got a gaming PC, and I thought, why have I bothered with the console or this, that, and the other for a certain point? You know, they're a fantastic way to get used to how certain games and sims work, but honestly, when I got into that world and realised how serious it is, to then be here today and see stuff like this, you know, it really does hit home just how amazing it can be. But like you say, getting them together here all under one roof for such a great event, it's not just being put on for fun though. This is a major part of a major international motorsport competition, the FIA Motorsport Games, and as we've discussed multiple times already, but to remind people at home, they will win a medal for their nation in the overall competition. The esports isn't here as a separate thing that they just go, oh, let's just keep those people happy. They've not hidden it away in a corner. This is a major part of the competition, and it is a wonderful thing to be a part of it. I'm very grateful.
That is actually a really good point, because often you see the world of virtual racing versus real racing, a bit of lip service is paid. Oh, everybody's doing esports, so we have to, but we don't really know what it is and we don't really want to. So as you say, it's kind of buried away in a corner or low profile. But anybody who knows the circuit Paul Ricard and surrounding areas, this is the Mistral Hall. So as you come into the main entrance to the paddock, it's this gargantuan and beautiful building that you cannot miss. That's right next to the slalom course. It's slap bang front and centre, liveried up with the flags and the logos. It's no bigger or smaller of import than any other championship we've got. And actually, we've got the grid on the screen now. So quickly, we'll go for the United Kingdom on pole position, for James Baldwin, Marcin, I'll start this one again. Kadalchik in second place for the Czech Republic with Chris Hartfeld for the Netherlands, lining up at the front of row 2. In fourth position, Alberto Garcia Gomez, representing Spain, just ahead of Brazil's Igor Rodriguez. And for Australia, Filipa Bokida. The car that you see on your screen is Singapore, so I need to do some catching up. So it's Haris Petropoulos in 7th position for Greece, Marcin Swiderek for Poland in 8th position, Mohammed Ali for Singapore, and Konstantin Scharf for Germany in 9th and 10th. Norway is the 11th car on the grid. Tommy Usgaard having a good drive in the Porsche. It'll be interesting to see how that car progresses. For Indonesia, Presley Montano lines up in 12th position. Fast in the previous sessions, but with Japan's Sotomuto behind, it's going to be difficult to fight the challenge from behind and continue to move forward. Jonathan Wong for Hong Kong, China is 14th on the grid. Nazik Aslam for Malaysia is 15th in the beautifully liveried car that you see on your screen there, the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. For Turkey is Ulas Oziladarim. In 17th is Slovakia, and Ben Spanke lines up just ahead of Croatian driver Mikel Matika in position 18th. Mateus Kuhn in 19th place for Belgium. And last on the grid is that beautiful liveried McLaren 720S GT3 of France's Alexandra Ley. Very, very stacked grid of talent, Jazz Draycott. Very, very experienced by this stage in the competition. Close your eyes to pick a winner, man.
It's crazy. I mean, we were talking between the races, between the final, semi-final and the final, if that makes sense. We were looking at where people started in their necessary races and how they progressed through the order. We've got people in there like Tommy Usgaard, started in his semi-final P14, but he managed to finish 6th and lines up 11th on the grid here because of that. And again, it may be 11th on the grid. That's still the second half of the field, but the fact that he finished 6th propels him so much higher, because at the end of the day, look at Matthias Kuhn, look at Alexander Ley. They both finished 10th in their race, which was great, and it's exactly what they needed to get through. But they're 19th and 20th on the grid. It still sets them up with quite the challenge that they've got to overcome. So I think there's going to be a number of drivers later down the order that are going to really work hard to push through all of this. But to be honest with you, there's so many exciting prospects here. There's drivers that started high up in their semi-finals, dropped down due to incident, and then came back through. But the main fact that I picked up on is that the people we have here in this final, out of all these amazing 20 drivers, unfortunately, we have none here that were in those last chance qualifiers. None of them made it through to the final.
So that just shows that in a competition of this level, you've got to be on it from the very second. And anybody that needs a second chances, they're not in that zone straight away. Now, something before we go any further, while we're on our formation lap, I want to mention to everybody here in the hall and everybody watching from home, the big difference of this race between any others that we've done. Before, we were looking for a top 10 to progress. We do not care less about a top 10 now. No. There's only 3 positions that have any value whatsoever. First, second, third, where the medals come. Fourth is first, and I hate to say it, but it's first the losers, basically.
Yes.
You've come for the top 3. Anything else is worthless, correct?
It is, yes, absolutely right, Paul. And it seems savage, but that's motorsport, that's competition. And at the end of the day, it's the same in any sort of Olympic sport as well.
Exactly.
And that's the same sort of format that we're following here at the FIA Motorsport Games. And there is the man that's starting on pole position, James Baldwin. We're going to try and hold back any patriotism here from me and Paul as he starts on the front row with Martin Kadlecic alongside him, Chris Harteveld and Alberto Garcia Gomez on the second row. The interesting element here is going to be Igor Rodriguez.
Yes.
He started on pole in his first race. He won his first race. He won his quarter-final. He then went through to the semi, started on pole position there, didn't win it. He had that 5-second penalty, and all because he's finished third, he's 5th on the grid here. So it's the first time we've had to see him come from behind at the very start of the race. And we've both been saying you can get caught up in incidents as far forward as second.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know if it was on air or off air. It's been a long day. I can't remember. But we kind of said anything past 4th is in effect mid-pack.
Yes.
So
yes,
anything past 4th, really you're in the danger zone. And Rodriguez is the first of those drivers for Brazil, of course, that's in that danger zone. And you're absolutely right. He's shown sensational pace. But we've not seen what he can do on the track. He's at the barbecue. We can smell it, but he can't quite get in. Yeah. And let's see what happens over the course of this race, because yeah, you've nailed it. If you had to ask me who am I most interested to see progression and how they go, Rodriguez would be the one for sure.
Interesting to note as well that out of the cars in the top 10, 3 of them aren't McLarens, but 2 of them are Lamborghinis. And we were saying about how fast the Lamborghinis have been, and it seems to be the only car other than the McLaren that is really, really obviously quicker. Great stuff, though, it has to be said, by Shaft to get that Mercedes into the top 10 of this final, because we've not seen anybody else really making that much use of the Mercedes. The Luxembourg car was a Mercedes as well, but unfortunately they didn't quite get the most out of it. So only a few more corners to go now, Paul, before the green flag flies, and I want everybody in here to raise the roof when that green flag flies, and we'll get things underway. But Paul, over to you, mate. Let's get ourselves a champion crowned.
Thank you very much. So, for the final time today, we're about to go racing in the FIA Motorsport Games at the Fanatec Esports Cup. The cars are lining 2x2 formation through the final turn, headed by James Baldwin at the United Kingdom, with the Czech Republic in second position. You know the routine by now. They're going to follow a mandated speed. They're keeping their eyes on the starting gantry. When those lights go out, these cars get loud, and we go motor racing for the final time. Here we go, the cheer from the crowd. The Fanatec Esports Cup is go, and 20 cars careering down into T1, headed by Baldwin, the Czech Republic around the outside. Coming to the inside is the McLaren as well, and everybody, touch wood, makes it through the first.
Oh, there's contact. Sorry, it was Kadlecic and Harteveld, I think, made contact. Where's Kadlecic on his way out wide? There was another car off with him as well. I was amazed that Harteveld didn't spin around there. But look, there's Kadlecic coming back in the pack. They're 4 wide as well. There's more and more contact. That's Sotomuto going out wide as well. He comes back into the middle of the road. We've got the McLaren as well. I think that's Mohammed Alif in the Singapore McLaren. A big check up in the middle. Oh, Jonathan Wong's around as well. Somehow these guys, oh no, that's Sviderek around in front of the field. Amazing miss there by Kuhn, but flipping heck, Paul, that's just kicked off massive time.
Yes, I was just about to say, literally, as I said, everyone got through cleanly. You told me someone had gone off, so that was the commentator's curse, but Kuhn did very, very well to not collect the spinning Swiderek from Poland. So Swiderek is still running on the track. The timing screens will update themselves in a moment, but there's a great fight we've got going on here as well. Norway, the back of a 3-car train, trying to find a way past Greece and Singapore. Do not go 3 wide into scene. That is bad news. There we go. Good stuff indeed. So Greece managed to make it through, and Norway just drops behind that train. And for a moment, Chaz, I thought 3 wide, which has just got tears written all over it.
Especially on the first lap as well. Tommy Erskard backed out of that one, and then of course the driver from Singapore just in front, Mohamed Alifi, was very much in the thick of that battle in the early stages, but now he's got to just focus on the back of that McLaren in front of him, which is Haris Mitropoulos, and there is a massive train of cars behind them because that's where the checkup happened. That's where the incident was. Third place and second place making contact. I think, to be honest, Harteveld was down the inside at the first part of the chicane. He was on the outside for the second part, and I think at that point it was Kadlecic had to really slow down, and he lost it, went across the pack, and everybody had to back up.
Which is just the problem, and that's again what we're saying about being in the middle of the pack,
exactly,
isn't it? You can make your own accident, or you can get involved in somebody else's incident. They don't have to be malicious, they don't even have to be aggressive. It can just be lots of cars, little space, everyone desperate to make a move. As we're seeing now, that's Oscar around the outside. In fact, that's Oscar defending, I think, from Singapore. The both cars managed to make their way through. So Tommy Oscar currently in 6th position. Indonesia it is, Singapore it is, just behind. This is what we've seen traditionally up to this point as Sotomuto tries to find a way through the inside down in 12th place. We found the first 2 or 3 laps are used just to settle into the race, and then that's when you can start making genuine and proper forward momentum.
Yeah, it's all about setting yourself in a position, figuring out who's around you, what your sort of pace difference is in the early stages of the race. I want to mention Ben Spanky as well, the Slovakian driver who was ahead of Sotomuto there. Started 17th in this race, and now he's up to 12th position. So in the first lap, he's gained 5 places. There's Filipa Bukida just looking at what's going on around her, looking at the relative. You can see she's just taking in the information, checking what's going on with the car, the tyres. Every bit of information that you get fed here with such amazing detailed realism from Assetto Corsa Competizione. But right now, she has the fastest lap out of everybody on that first lap and is right behind the Spanish driver in 3rd position, I should say, Alberto Garcia Gomez, another driver that's been very exciting throughout this competition. However, ran out of steam a little bit towards the end of that last race, didn't he?
It'd be really interesting to see if Gomez can take those lessons that he got from the last race, understand what the Lamborghini is like at the sharp end of the grid, and apply them in this race, because, again, you can't afford to fade. And we kind of said, and I'm going to contradict what I said a few moments ago, that they take the first few laps just to get the balance. Only the top 3 count in this race. You can't afford to do that one. You've got to go gung-go, because if you're 14th, best will in the world, you're not going to make up 11 places during normal running. No. And the first lap is the best opportunity to mug people and catch them unawares. And that's why we've seen a little bit of aggression from our drivers as we're looking at Schaaf now for Germany in 11th position. The big old AMG Mercedes, a little bit cast adrift at this moment in time of the cars ahead. The Czech Republic is the next man up the road, but that man, Zardamuto there, as we see Brazil. Now what's happened to Rodriguez? Rodriguez, 18th position. I didn't think he'd fallen quite as far as that, but apparently he has.
I think when Kadlecic went off at the start, there was another car in the background with him, a very bright coloured car. I think when Kadlecic's gone one way then the other, he's taken Rodriguez with him. Not on purpose, of course, but in catching the car, he's just taken the front off that McLaren, because it does look like there's a bit of damage to the front end of it. It's a bit scuffed up. So Rodriguez, who was the fastest in qualifying out of everybody, won his qualifying race, absolutely flew through the pack, and has shown everybody the ultimate pace this weekend. That 5-second penalty that he got for entering the pit lane has changed his weekend so much. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Rodriguez has been delivered a bag of disappointment, and now he's basking in its glory down in 18th position. So a lot of work to do, but no time like the present to get a good start going there. So Rodriguez goes 3 wide again into scene. This is another risky move, but Rodriguez has got to make the move. He's got to make it stick. Does he? Yes, he does that. It's sensational. Igor Rodriguez keeps the car to the inside, goes back onto the racing line, gets it all gathered up in the second position. A round of applause behind. If I didn't have a microphone on, I'd do the same thing, because that was spectacular.
Yeah, that was brave, and that's exactly what he needs to be right now. He needs to push, take those opportunities. Jonathan Wong did the same as well in the Aston Martin. He gained a place out of that situation, and he also needs to be opportunistic. He was turned around in the first lap in the first couple of corners, and right now everybody is just thinking, no, I'm not settling into a rhythm, I need to push, and that's the thing, we've said it many times. So here we go. So watch Kadlecic in the lightish blue car in the middle, and then down the inside goes Harteveld. So Kadlecic makes up for that, gives him the room, Harteveld, oh, he hits the curb, loses it, and yes, look, takes Rodriguez with him. Fantastic save by both of them. But yeah, he just clipped that curb. He was giving him enough room. I'd say there was enough room for Kadlecic down the inside as well from Harteveld. Fair play. But then, in that moment, just clipping that curb, correcting it, just bounced one car off the other. And to be honest, they were both lucky it wasn't a bigger accident in front of the whole field.
We spoke about that in the last race, didn't we? How unstable the cars become over the curve. They're so low to the floor, they're so heavy. The pressures are still starting to raise in the tyres at this early stage.
Yeah.
And that is, unfortunately, like you say, I think there's no real apportioning of blame there. It is just early doors lappery. These things do happen, unfortunately. So Rodriguez now has a lot of work to do. Brazilian entry, remember, car number 21, 16th position. Keep your eyes on that one. Everybody at home, see how he moves forward. Meanwhile, Muhammad Ali for Singapore in 7th position. There he is on our screen twice, in fact. Goes to the outside into scene once again, the scene of many exciting things. And Muhammad Ali around the outside, raves it out against Norway and gets the deal done very nicely indeed, and covers the inside line, Chaz, to avoid any fight back from Oscar.
That was a lovely looking manoeuvre, that. Absolutely lovely stuff by Mohamed Ali. Did a really good job of that there to get ahead of Tommy Erskard, but Tommy's not going to take that line down. Fills the mirrors once more, but look behind them as well, the number 55 car of Presley Martono, another driver that's always been sort of starting a bit further down the order, but constantly making his way back up. He's right in the thick of this now, in the box seat to watch this develop, and it seems like in the early stages, the Porsche's not quite got the punch that the McLaren's got. The downforce around the right-hander was insane, but at the same time, we know the Porsche's good near the end of the race as well, so they can take it as they want a little bit later. They can push a bit harder.
The thing is for Martono, as you say, he's been very consistent, he's been very strong as he's gone through. The problem is now, you can't afford, that's no use in this race. We need to see another aspect of his skill set. We need to see, as they often say, get your elbows out. And as Chaz points, very, you were very magazine style then doing the point thing. You know, you're doing the adverts, we pointed. The screen is a drive-through penalty for Malaysia.
Yeah, that was quite an accurate point then.
It was actually. I saw it from distance. I was impressed. I
don't know why, but I've not looked at that screen all weekend. But
I always look at yours as well. How weird's that? Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, anyway, we have obviously seen there is a drive-through penalty for Malaysia, the only Ferrari in this race, very interestingly. I thought we had a few more in the field, to be honest with you, but clearly they've fallen by the wayside bit by bit over the course of the weekend. It's mainly McLarens in the pack. And that's not a bad thing, because the McLaren is a gorgeous car to look at. Here are the top two, making their way away from the rest of the field, though. James Baldwin leading ahead of Chris Harteveld. And it must be said, Chris Harteveld started on pole position in his qualifying race, didn't win it because he led it early on, gave up the fight and just said, I'm happy to finish second, I'll keep progressing through the tournament. And here he is now, very close to a win in the final. I know there's 50 minutes left, but at this point, second in the race, a couple of tenths off the race leader, considering how easy it seems he's taken it anyway over the course of the weekend, that is not bad going at all.
And interestingly, this is a role reversal for James Baldwin in the United Kingdom. If you cast your mind back to the race that he won earlier in the day, he was the man doing the shadowing in second, seemingly not really under much pressure, not really trying so hard to extract speed from the car. So how does Baldwin get on being the defender rather than the attacker? Speaking of defenders and attackers, Indonesia is in the middle of a spicy sandwich here, and there we go, loses the position to the Czech Republic. So Kadlecic doing a great job, is Kadlecic, to make his way past the number 55 machine. And we've seen a few passes in that final corner, but it's so easy to misjudge it and just go deep, isn't it, as the attacker?
Well, if I'm honest with you, I thought Kadlecic did go a little bit deep there, and I thought that he was going to get a cutback pulled over on him, and that was very close into turn one. But just looking down the inside there, Martono just trying to fill the mirror a little bit more, just falsely lead him into a bit of insecurity about the fact that that McLaren's going to stick its nose down the inside. Very pointy nose on the front of the McLaren, really low car, gorgeous, sleek machine. There you see Presley Martono working hard behind the wheel now. You can see the way that the rig and the monitor shakes slightly with all the force feedback here from these Fanatec wheels. Awesome to see it, and the drivers get to feel so much through those wheels. And of course that helps them compete at such a high level and to be so consistent as well, because they get such a hefty feel for it. They know where the grip is, you know, there's no sort of dead zone or anything where they can't feel any grip or understeer, for example.
And also, that actually brings me on to an interesting fact while we've got a lull in proceedings. Each driver doesn't have the same rig every single session that they're on track, so they're all split up. So you're not going to go into, let's just say, a number at random, rig number 12. That's not your rig for the week. You'll go on to a different one every session. Yes, you can make some tweaks and changes, but it's really interesting that it's constant evolution, constant adaptation to what is around you. We're seeing France now in the heat of battle as well, went for the attacking, now going for the defending. Round the outside goes Hong Kong, and Alexander Lay just about holds on. But that one was close, and a ripple of applause from the audience as well, in appreciation for the efforts.
On home soil as well. Now, just in front of that, we actually have an interesting fight between the Malaysian Ferrari, which of course has to push now due to a drive-through, but the Brazilian machine of Igor Rodriguez has got ahead of them. But because the Ferrari is so fast in the straight line, he's struggling to get away down that straight and stay away from him in the final sector. Here is the number 13 car of James Baldwin, looking back now at second placed Chris Hartveld. Started third in this race, started third in his semi-final as well. Finished second in said semi-final. So is he going to do the same, or is he going to gain one more spot and go even one better than that and take the race win here?
Well, that's what you do as a professional, isn't it? You improve each time. So third, second, natural. The only one to do for Chris Hartveld is first position, and that's what everybody wants, isn't it? They want that gold medal. That's something that you can't. It's, with the greatest will in the world, trophies are awesome. So I'm told. I've never won anything, but trophies are awesome in competition. But a gold medal is a gold medal. And that's a different kettle of fish altogether, isn't it, than a trophy. It's very few athletes in the world get the opportunity to take those home with them.
And it's not just any race either. I mean, this is the FIA Motorsport Games, you know. This is a very serious competition, and it's for your nation. I can't reiterate enough that it's not just a sim racer driving for a team. You know, James Baldwin from Veloce, there's a lot of teams and drivers that have got amazing people here, but this is for the United Kingdom right now, and he's got the Netherlands against him, he's got Spain, Australia, Greece. All these countries have basically approved this, signed this off and said, look, go and represent your nation in this championship.
And that is another point that's probably worth clarifying for anybody that didn't pick up on it earlier on. It's not like we've decided, hey, I've got a Spanish friend, so he's going to come and we're going to paint our car livery and call ourselves Spain. This has come from the governing body of motorsport for that country. They've had to go through a process. They've had to sign up with their governing body. They've had to apply and become part of this competition. So it's not just, I've got dibs on UK because I went first. We've gone, who are all the British sim racers and esport drivers? You, Sunshine, that have applied are the best of the bunch. You're coming with us. And that's... Yeah, it's like an international call-up in football, which I don't know much about, so please don't talk about football. But it's like an international call-up in your sport of choice. You said it, I think, in one of the earlier broadcasts. You don't get bigger than this as a virtual race car driver.
No, you can represent an amazing esports team at a big esports event, but when you're representing your own country, like, that's serious stuff. There's not much more pride than that, you know, and wearing the flag on the car and the country's colours, it's just absolutely awesome. I noticed as well on the Spanish machine that they're actually wearing their country's racing organising body's emblem as well on the rear window of the car, which is really cool to see. So, you know, some of them have got a bit more of a customised livery than others out there, but it's just great to see. Really great to see the fantastic representation we've got. There's a drive-through penalty come up for France now, car 56. I'm wondering what that's going to be for, because I don't think we've seen them off track much.
And that's a real shame, because they're starting to make some good progress. Remember, they started 20th and last, and despite all the dramas and getting held up a little bit in the early stages, running up in 15th place and again on home soil. So that's a pity for Alexandra Lay there. But we're looking at Philippa Bakina, and she's showing a nice turn of pace as well for Australia at this stage in the race. The McLaren is quite strong. Just for a moment there, I thought that was our race leaders, but that is, of course, Singapore and Greece in 5th and 6th position. So they seem to be a little bit 2x2, don't they, at the moment?
Just going to say, we've got little duos going on, little duels between them. We've got the United Kingdom and Netherlands, Spain and Austria, Greece and then Singapore. And to be honest, if you look further back, we've then got Czech Republic, Norway are about 8/10 back off them, with Indonesia right behind. Then you've got Japan as well. Barely any of them are covered by more than a second between them. And that, again, just shows the level that we've reached. We've got to the epitome of the competition here. And all of the best drivers and all of the best nations here are all against each other now. And it is so, so close. Yes, it may spread out a little bit at certain points of the pack. That's racing. It happens. You know, you're not going to get a train all the way through. But that sort of shot where we have all the cars coming towards us, it's rarely this weekend we've seen so many cars on the straight at the same time after 15 minutes of the race.
But I will say, though, and we said this again to each other off air, there is a danger now in this situation that when you come upon another car that you're looking to overtake, if you don't get that move done almost instantly, it's very easy to fall in line with their pace and get held up, and then it's hard to dig deep and find another gear again. So they often say in like Grand Prix racing and whatnot that if you don't pass within the first 2 laps, you're going to get stuck. And that kind of applies here as well, although in this one, I mean, come on, if you don't pass the first 2 laps, you're going to lose 4 other places because everybody's swarming over you like a cheap suit. But it really is, you've got to act till you've got to act now, because 60 minutes is a long time when you're doing something you don't enjoy. When you're in a grand final of an FIA Motorsport Game, Fanatec Esports Cup, that goes by in a blink.
It does. I mean, I said a minute ago we're already 15 minutes through this race. I can't believe it. I thought it was laps 2.
Touching 20 now.
That's scary, isn't it? But it was great to see Sotomuto there for a second on board, as there's a move down the inside by Singapore, as through goes Mohamed Ali. He started 9th in this race, and he's now up into 5th position ahead of Greece with Haris Mitropoulos at the wheel. McLaren versus McLaren, very similar hardware, as we've had quite a lot over the weekend. But I was just going to mention before, Sotomuto, who we look at here, nicely done, Mr. Director, right behind Tommy Erstgaard. These are 2 drivers that we've both seen over the course of the day, moving forward through the field. Right now, though, they don't seem to be making the same progress. Our wonderful commentator, Murray Walker, once said, you get through and get to the tough nuts to crack further up in the field. And it's one of my favourite phrases I've ever heard. And this is that point now. In the competition, they've got to the tough nuts. You've pointed there, though. There's another penalty being given out, Paul.
Yeah, that's a real shame. So another drive-through penalty. It'll flash on our screen a little bit later on as to the reasoning behind it, but that's the Turkey car in 16th position. We're keeping our eye on Sotomuto for Japan. 10th position at the moment. That would have been a golden place to have been in the semi-finals and quarter-finals, but in this race, that is no use whatsoever. So Muto needs to start moving forward. He needs to get the proverbial skates on and find his way past the cars in front, because he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places away from a medal at this moment in time, Chaz. And 7 places, that's not a nice feeling, I think, is it, as a driver? That's a big ask.
No, definitely not. And I mean, there's so many drivers in this race that have had very roller coaster stories over the course of the weekend, where it might not have gone well in qualifying, and then they've progressed really well through their qualifying races and quarterfinals, and then even through the last chance races as well. It's a real shame we don't have any last chance drivers here, to be honest with you, because I think that would have been an amazing story to just see out of those who progressed where. But that's all academic now. All of these drivers were ones that completed their quarterfinals within the top 10, completed their semi-finals in the top 10. They've got the job done on more than one occasion, and here's a man that got the job done on more than one occasion in the last race as well. Tommy Erstgaard levels up with the McLaren, the Indonesian machine of Presley Martono, tries to go around the outside. He's got a lot of grip in that car. The Porsche is a very, very stable machine, but look behind. Sotomuto says, look, there's an advantage, there's an opportunity, puts his nose down the inside. Erstgaard goes a little bit deep. Sotomuto grabs that apex so well. Bit of a lick of flame from the McLaren as well. Tries not to run him out of road. Gets on the power. Erstgaard back down the inside. Still level as they come through the long left-hander. It tightens up here. Then you've got to get the run. I think Sotomuto's going to concede here and sit behind him. No, he's not, is he? Come on. He's absolutely on this now, side by side. But all the while, look in front of them as Martono just moves away, car length after car length. And all of a sudden, that's about, what, nearly a second gap now as they're going to cross the line. And behind them, suddenly, we've got Scharf in the Mercedes.
Yeah, and that's the stupidity that we've got to now in this competition, where you've got to make a move and it's got to count. That was great for us. Fantastic. 4 corners, 2 wide, amazing. But that's cost these 2 drivers massively. If you're going to make a move, you do 1 or 2 things. You do it where it's almost a slam dunk, or you don't do it at all.
Exactly.
And you cannot afford... I often say, when people talk about motor racing, it's not about going fastest, it's about he who loses the least time.
Yes, of course.
Not about going fastest. Make the least mistakes, give away the least time, and you will be the end of victory. And squabbling, awesome to watch. Lousy for your lap time, your overall race finishing time, and that's exactly what's happened here.
Exactly, it's like you all start with like a glass of water that's full, and when you're battling, you're shaking it away.
Exactly.
It's got the least water at the end. You know, you've sort of wasted your water by battling away with it. It's a very, very strange analogy, but still, we'll roll.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that one and claim it for my own.
I've never used it before. I don't know where it came from. Help. James Baldwin then leads the way about quarter of a second from the Netherlands, Spain in third, then it's Australia, Singapore, just outside of those medal positions, Greece, Czech Republic, Indonesia, just in front of the car we're focused on right now, which is the Norwegian Porsche of Tommy Erstgaard, and a fantastic train of machines all stuck together. Now, we move back up to second place, Chris Hartenveld. I must admit, he has been a little bit under the radar at points this weekend, but we have said in pretty much every race so far, no news is good news, and he's sticking to that so far. There's a move, actually, as Matthias Kuhn goes down the inside of Konstantin Scharf, but again, once they wiggle their way out of the corner. Look at the gap now to Sotomuto.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. But going back to our front two for a moment, going back to Baldwin and Netherlands in second place, they're separated by nothing.
Yeah.
Is this a case, once again, that we're seeing a little bit of tactics in play, that we're seeing Harteveld not really trying too hard to find a way past on the track and just waiting till we get to the point where the pit window opens, which is in another 3 or 4 minutes' time, and play it that way, because they've got a comfortable gap, 4 seconds at this moment in time. But really, when there's a medal on offer at the end, that becomes a decision point, doesn't it? Do you, don't you go for it?
Well, exactly. And I think before, what we saw when James Baldwin was behind Rodriguez in the earlier race, he was waiting for that pit window to be imminent so he could just try and unsettle him beforehand.
Yeah.
And you've got to think, in a way, I'm not saying this is a direct thing because I'm not sort of doubting Rodriguez's mental stability, but he had a go at him a couple of laps before the pit window, got ahead of him, and then he mucked up his pit entry.
Yeah.
That could be put down to mind games, but that's all it takes sometimes. That is all it takes. It's no disrespect to any of the drivers or the fact that they're fragile or anything like that before I dig myself into too big a hole, but in competition, that's what you need to do. No matter who it is, you need to try and unnerve them and get the better of them.
Yeah, so we're looking now on board with Czech Republic and Martin Kadlecik in 7th position. Just ahead is the Greece car. So again, typical behaviour. We've seen it before. Greece hugs the inside line, trying to close down the opportunity. Now, Kadlecik, they go back to the left-hand side to give him the arc through the corner. There's a light kiss between them, a little bit of like who's braver than the other, and Greece is the one that just about holds on. Meanwhile, further down the line, Norway is in. Good battle, Sotomuto. Once again, the man in the middle of it, Tommy Osgaard, ever the wildest professional, just holding back. I've seen a gap. I'm going to go through a gap. That gap's that big. You need some kind of door stopper, and I'll not quite get the opportunity on this occasion. That's a little bit intelligent driving, yeah?
I have to hope that that round of applause is for Sotomuto and how the heck he managed to slot that McLaren between those two cars there and not hit either of them. That was majestic driving. That might be one of the most understated parts of the weekend, that, but how on earth the three of them made it through there? Because, you know, you can't go without giving credit to the other two either side of him, but honestly, that was so magical. That just knew exactly the proportions of each car, who was going to do what, and that's the sort of clean driving we've come to love this weekend. It's been mega. Oh, there you go. That's feisty in the background, though. This might change it.
yeah, exactly. Fatal last words as we see Rodriguez trying to go around the outside of Schaaf as well. I think he's got the job done. Kuhn just ahead as well for Belgium. So there we go. This is where the action's happening. Rodriguez and Schaaf side by side. Just behind them is Slovakia as well. And Rodriguez, as we spoke about, needs to get a move on if he wants to continue forward. And they're about as close, Chaz, as you're going to get without making contact. Although, will he make contact through this corner?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. That's the push wide. And that is the opportunity for Slovakia to not make a move, but to actually slam into the side of Brazil, which is...
well, I don't know. I think Rodriguez
which is a bit exciting. And then we're still going on because Charles says, you know what? You two mess about all you want. I'm going through and I'm going to go see you later.
He's using the Mercedes as a snow plow now. He's pushing, but look at the McLaren still getting away, even though he's right tucked up behind it. If I'm honest with you, though, I think Rodriguez, the Slovakian car had enough chance to get down the inside there. Rodriguez just didn't realise he had the overlap by the time they got to the corner. They both got very lucky because he backed out of it, and so did Rodriguez as well. They both managed to carry on, but this trio is absolutely glued together now with a big, beefy Mercedes filling in the middle of it, as well as he moves over on the inside of Rodriguez and also looks down the inside at the same time at Benz Banki. By the way, Banki now moving up into 12th place. Started this race in 17th. I think he was up there before, actually, and there was a bit more shuffling around, so he's actually sort of remained where he was. But all this time, well, this is the glass emptying for Rodriguez.
And I love these kind of moments. You know, when there's two people squabbling and the one on the back just holds on, go. And then takes the opportunity. I absolutely adore that kind of thing. Yeah, and then again, it happens in reverse order the next time round when they have a squabble. And it's a bit of a yo-yo, isn't it? Backwards, forwards. But great entertainment for everybody at home. Great entertainment here in the commentary box. And the pit window is now open. And the pit window means...
pit stops.
Yay! Pit stops and strategy.
Yes, so it does indeed, yes. So we're going to have a quick replay here then. This is Rodriguez having a go at Schaaf. He's trying to go around the outside into the chicane. He's going to have the inside for the next part. Schaaf's giving him just enough room. And I think this is going to lead up to the contact that we saw. And it seemed like Schaaf was just trying to slide along the back of the McLaren, but the long nose on that Mercedes just catches him. He's a little bit close to contact here. I think maybe... I don't think there was a touch there, but there's definitely a touch here. So Rodriguez a little bit later on the brakes, down the inside. Schaaf just just nerfs the back of the car, and here comes the Slovakian machine, Banky down the inside. Yeah, Rodriguez just doesn't leave the room there for me, but it's a fantastic save all the same. And then Schaaf just says, right, let me push you here, sunshine. Let's get past this big yellow, green and blue thing.
Yeah, that was great stuff. He didn't leave him room at the same time as well. Banky was trying to overtake whilst using the majority of the curb, which is not where you would traditionally expect a car to sit. So 6-1, half a dozen in the other, all's fair in love and war. Everybody managed to survive it, which is the most important thing. And it's great seeing for us as once again, Japan on the move, defending this time from Norway. From everybody else as well, it seems like. And there we go, Sotsumoto pushed out wide, not physically, but by the presence of another car, and loses that position. So these three can't decide who wants to be the leader of the pack, can they? Because they keep swapping, which is only nice. We all play together nicely. We all swap each other. After you, sir, it's your turn.
Oh, indeed. Well, Presley Martono there. Impressed me, Martono, it must be, because round that corner, that was the bottom of the barrel, I've got splinters, but that was just amazing how he let off the brakes, really carried the momentum of the car in, and it just glued itself to the floor. Sotsumoto straight into the pits. He thinks, you know what, I don't want any of this noise anymore. Ostgaard goes in with him as well. Two leaders have carried on, though, importantly. This is James Baldwin leading the pack ahead of Chris Harteveld, and the two of them still flying. We've had another car in the pits, which is Rodriguez. He's getting out of the fighting as well. He wants clear track, because that's where he just thrives, isn't it?
So here's the fun game then, now that we like to play. The first of the front-running cars is Japan, 9th position, with the first to jump down pit lane. Let's keep our eye on that, see if he comes back out of Sotsumoto in 9th or higher or lower. We have said all day long on the broadcast that from our observations, coming in earlier seems to be the stronger option, yet no one seems to do it at the front of the field, which they're also more intelligent than us, so we probably got it wrong, but it seems to win. It seems to work every single time I do it. Is somebody missing a trick here, or is it different when you're at the front of the field? Why are people not jumping all over this option?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think I've said it a few times already that if you are out in front and you're into a rhythm and the car's feeling good and you can predict how it's developing over the course of a race and you don't want it to suddenly cool down by sitting in the pits for a minute and then have to get stuff up to temperature and sort of reacclimatise yourself and have that break mentally between fast laps, in laps and out laps. I think some drivers just think, right, I'm going to stay out as long as I can and just maybe, again, that's a mental game. It's not something I've thought of until now. You could probably hear my brain click when it happened. But when you're out front, everybody else can see you still out front. And they have that in their head and they think, he's the guy in the lead. He's the one I need to beat. And if you hold that for as long as you can, you hold that joker in your hand, maybe people will start to sort of feel a bit more pressure to have to push to catch you up.
A very fine point well made, sir, and that might very well be the case. So here we go, Japan still remain the car at the head of the pack that have made their stops, currently 14th on track. That will change when everybody goes down pit lane. Anybody who's new to the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione, timing stack on the left-hand side. There is orange and 1, that means they've not made their stop, and there's requirement to stop once. If it's green, that means we are done, thank you very much, and we're racing through to the checkered flag. 5 minutes, 58 seconds of the pit window remain in this race. 30 minutes, 54 seconds of track action remains, and it's still a very hot battle indeed between Germany and Slovakia. 9th and 10th position at the moment. Ben Spanke is the man that's on the charge, and Schaaf is the man defending in the big old AMG Mercedes at the front of the field. And this is home hero, Alessandro Ley, 20th position, but will make some places up when everybody else comes and does their stoppy-goey thing.
Well, there's 10 seconds back from Brazil to Poland and then 20 seconds back from Poland to Turkey. So these guys, at the moment, they're a little bit on their own, but in a way they're not. They've still got somebody to fight with, somebody to race with, and that's the best thing. I mean, I'm sure we've both had races where we've made a mistake early on or been involved in an incident that wasn't our fault. Not an insurance claim sort of advert scenario, but, you know. But then you just drive around on your own at the back, and it can be so disheartening. You just think, I'm just going to park up. But we've seen a lot of drivers determined this weekend that have been in that scenario and they've carried on all the way through and they've got the job done, and hats off to them. These guys right now, at the end of the day, they have to keep pushing. There's no reason not to. You never know what can happen in front, what can happen at an event like this at such a high level. Things can break, and not as in the technology, I mean just people can just break and have that moment, and it can all fall apart.
And it's also self-respect.
Of course,
it's self-respect, isn't it? Of course, there can only be 3 people that take a medal home at the end of today, but do you want to be the one who's the quitter? Out of 20 cars, do you want to be the one that walks away? with your teams, with your country's colours on,
Yeah.
and saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore because
Yeah.
I can't win. I'm taking my toys home, you can't have the ball anymore. No,
That's my
you don't want to be. Yeah, you don't want to be that person. And it's disrespectful to yourself, to your country, to your rivals, and to the event organisers. And as you say, we've seen people have absolute nightmares but stick with it. And I'd love to see that one. A massive credit to those people as well for staying with it and seeing it through to the conclusion come good news or bad news.
And it's good sportsmanship as well, not directly to another competitor, but just to the whole event. You know, it's not you can't only show sportsmanship to your other competitors. It can be to the organisers, the people involved, and a lot of other aspects to whatever event you're competing in. And to be able to do that is very, very important. Now the gap has opened up a little bit here from James Baldwin to Chris Harteveld. I say it's opened up. I mean, it's still less than a second, so he's in the slipstream of the McLaren in front, but he will be worrying at this point that he will start to lose that slipstream, and we know it's very important here at Paul Ricard to have that, to stay close together. Here's the car in third, by the way. For a Lamborghini to be subtle, a lot must be wrong with the world, but if I'm honest with you, Alberto Garcia Gomez has been very subtle in this race, despite the Lamborghini, despite the massive 5.2 litre V10 in the back, and despite the madly loud colour scheme that's all over it as well, and the fantastic supporters that he has here as well. He got a very big cheer. He's just been under the radar, somehow under the radar.
But doing an incredibly solid job, eking away from Bukida for Australia in 4th position, doing the business, staying sort of in touch with the two cars in front of him. But just we saw it briefly on the screen then, that Lamborghini. It looks a little bit more comfortable than last time we watched it in the previous races. Yes, we're still got 27 and a bit minutes of change left to go, but maybe there's been some changes to the way he approaches it, the way he drives.
Yeah.
And that looks like it's in a better long-term prospect.
Yeah, and again, it goes from driver to driver who can manage the car in different ways, and he's actually come into the pits now as well. Get it cooled down for a minute. Singapore also in as well. That promotes Filipe Bukida up into 3rd position. Czech Republic staying out as well. That's a great shot of the Lamborghini.
It really is.
What a gorgeous race car the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo is. Easy for me to say. So we've got drivers now making their way out of the pit lane once again. Let's keep our eye on Japan as well, because obviously that was the car that first came in from 7th position. Ninth position. I've got.
There we go.
Apologies. Yes, he's 10th at the minute. Oh, side-by-side action here. Alexandra Lay side-by-side with the Malaysian driver of Nakib Aslan. Fallen a bit by the wayside as well in this race, to be honest, but these guys fighting at the back of the field. Keeping our eye on the timing tower on the left, though. It looks like Spain have emerged from the pit lane, still ahead of Singapore and Greece, but they could still change position coming out of the pit lane and through the first sector. We'll wait for that to update.
Oh, we've seen this before as well. When someone has come out of the pit lane and has track position, it takes a little while just to get yourself and your car back up to temperature, back up to pressure again.
Sure.
So if you're the car that's hot, if you're the car that's been on track and you're in the zone, and someone comes out of pit lane, a 4-second gap can diminish rapidly compared to normal racing conditions, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. All it takes is one poor sector and that's it.
Yeah.
The top 4 will be coming in on this lap. We've got 1 minute and a quarter left to go. It's nearly 2 minutes a lap round here at Circuit Paul Ricard. So they will be coming in this time round, and then we will wait and see if anybody just overdoes it on pit entry, maybe speeds in the pit lane, because there's still that element of things to consider. We may have 26 minutes of this race left, but the pit stops are not just a tick box exercise.
Exactly.
You have to get it right. You have to follow procedure. You cannot overdo it. These guys, very tentative out the last corner, but they don't cross that white line importantly.
And that was what I was just about to say. We've got live FIA stewards here for this event, and they are looking for things like procedural breaks where you go over the pit lane line on the way in and the way out. Not just the speed limit that we're used to as esports sim racers, but the actual markings on the racetrack, just like real life. We've seen 5-second penalties handed out like sweeties for that one in earlier events. So all these little things are the things that can undo months of preparation and a full day of great work for one seemingly innocuous little mistake, as everybody now, Chaz, has been down pit lane. So the pit window is going to close in 5 seconds, but everybody's done their business now, and let's see how things shake out.
Well, I'm looking at Kadlachik, and he's still in the pits, and he's still not fulfilled. Oh no, it's gone green now. It's just gone green. So I think he's just going to be a bit further down than the rest of them. He's coming out of the pit lane right now. He would have been near the front end of the pit lane as well, right down the far end. You mentioned sweeties, though. You're still thinking about the hotel, aren't you?
I really like those sweeties. They're lovely.
But at the top of the field then, Filipe Bukida is in third position right now, and the Spanish machine, well, actually, no, look, there you go. I'm getting ahead of myself. We just saw the Spanish Lamborghini there coming through in third, and there you go. It does tick over. So I'm getting ahead of myself and the timing tower here, Paul, but it seems like everybody's got it right in this one. They've known by now, they've had the practice over the course of the weekend. Now we've got a 24-minute sprint to the end.
But once again, our observation of pitting early is a good way to go. Look at Japan. It's only one place, but it's still one place.
A place.
They've made a gain. So again, coming in first seems to be the way forward. It's a bit too late now because we've got no more pit stops with the 2022 FIA Motorsport Games Fanatec Esports Cup. They're over and done with for another campaign, but great for Satomoto to make that move and to gain a position. It's a free overtake. Why wouldn't you? It costs you nothing. There's no disadvantage. It's not like you've got to do a longer second stint because you keep the same boots on.
Exactly.
So it's a done deal as far as I'm concerned, unless you hit traffic, and then it's bye-bye to everything.
Well, it's even fuel-wise as well. It's not a loss. You know, you have to put a litre of fuel in. And I mean, I think I could put a litre of fuel in myself quicker than a lot of these teams could put it in the car, to be honest. Right now, though, that moment there for the Slovakian machine, Ben Spanky. Another driver that, again, has gained places in this race, but I think only through others falling by the wayside. He's right behind the Belgian car right now, Matthias Kuhn, who again started 19th in this race, so he's also made progress of his own. Konstantin Scharf in front of them, though, he started 10th, so he's dropped 2 places from where he was at the very beginning of this race. We look further forward, though, and Kadlacik is still making progress, though, after the horrible start that he had with that incident. He's right behind our Mohamed Alif now in the Singapore McLaren, but he has shown so far that he can defend very, very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's fair to say that coming into this race, there'll be 2/3 of this grid know they're not in the conversation for a top 3.
Yeah.
So they're just going to do the best they can for themselves, their team, their country, and all that good stuff. And it's really sort of, it's a handful, 3, 4, 5 drivers are going to dispute who gets the gold amongst them, sort of thing, of which United Kingdom, Netherlands, Spain, Australia are 4 of those, and Singapore doing actually really, really good work at this moment in time. It's more a case of who's going to get what, or try not to get involved in something silly and take yourself out of contention. And that's exactly what's proven to be, but it's still made a fantastico race for this final event.
It's been absolutely awesome, you know, every element to this. The whole competition, each race we've had has had its own different element and different added spice, you know. It's been really good fun to watch. Great stuff to commentate on as well. We've never run out of stuff to talk about. I must give another bit of appreciation, you know, to Alberto Garcia Gomez in that Lamborghini, because when you look at the manufacturers inside the top 10, we've got Tommy Erskard in the Porsche, fair play, you know, Coanda have fantastic ties with Porsche, but to be the only Lamborghini in the top 9 that's filled with McLarens, showing that it's the car to be in this weekend, that makes it an even more top-notch effort, I must say.
Yeah, it really does. It's great to see the variety of marks as well by having a different car in there, so it's not a McLaren-dominated top 10 as we're looking on board now with Kadlacik.
Look at the
finding.
run.
That's a great run on the Singapore car. It's to the outside, but again, if he can hold that position, the circuit goes to the left, and there we go. Singapore very, very, very wide, so makes a little mistake there, drops out of contention, and Kadlacik even. Great deal. Pass made.
Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. He just got his nose down the inside, and because the Singapore machine of Mohamed Alif was just offline, he went on those marbles. You saw it step out a little bit, good save, but it just killed the momentum through the corner, and he wasn't able to get it back to the apex quickly enough, and through went Kadlacik back up into 5th position. But when he started the race in 2nd place on the front,
you want more than that, don't you?
Final, it's just not what he wants. If he manages to secure a bronze from this and get back through, I'm sure that'll be a good consolation considering, but it's not what he came here for.
Yeah, it's a big ask for Kadlacik, isn't it? To try and close that kind of distance as well. 6.4 seconds away from Philippa Bakida. Bakida herself is no pushover when it comes to on-track racing. And then Bakida a further nearly 4 seconds away from that podium and that final medal. So again, all about self-respect, all about doing the best job you can right to the very checkered flag. And who knows, we've seen strange things. Heaven forbid, let's hope it doesn't happen. But if Baldwin for United Kingdom makes a mistake, gets collected by the Netherlands, and suddenly, hey, I'm not 4th, 2nd, or I'm 3rd. So there's still plenty of opportunities. And Kadlacik now is going from the attacker to the defender once again. And it's funny how, I'd like to see the lap times, but it's funny how you can be the one that's under attack and then when you get past, you just find more speed.
Yeah, that's it. As soon as you've got that open road and you've not got another car to focus on in front of you, it can make a big difference. Into the top 10 now for Igor Rodriguez, gets past Tommy Erskard. That means now there is only one car inside the top 10 that is not a McLaren, and that is now the Spanish Lamborghini. But I must say, Tommy Erskard has made that Porsche look like an absolute beast this weekend compared to a lot of the other teams that had it. No disrespect to them, of course, but he's risen above the others so far in this competition and done a phenomenal job of it. Igor Rodriguez, though, I'm absolutely gutted that we didn't get to see the drive-through from 5th that we were expecting and hoping for, because we knew it was coming. We absolutely did. But instead, we've had this drive-through from the very back of the field, all the way up through the order. It's just not going to give him the result that, admittedly, no disrespect again to any of the other teams, that car deserves a medal this weekend for the performance they've done all weekend.
To be fair, man, it deserves a medal for the livery because that looks sensational on the McLaren 720S. Meanwhile, let's have a look a little bit further down the running order. The battle between Belgium and Germany continues for 12th and 13th position. So this moment in time, Schaaf just holding on to that 12th position. And as we said, in that many times I'm bored of hearing myself say, never mind what people at home think. When you squabble, you bring yourself into the cars behind you.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's happening, because look at that. We're starting to get people, we're starting to get Slovakia, starting to get Hong Kong as well joining into that fight. And I suppose at this point, there's no point. What's the point playing the tactics game when you're outside the top 10 anyway? You just go and have some fun.
Well, that's
Make a great race of it.
And again, as we've discussed, seat time is so important. That's what you need. Even if you've just got a bit of seat time now, you could have done 1,000 laps of Paul Ricard before now. But at the end of the day, you're in a competitive environment and you're getting different seat time to what you do just at home in your own sim, or maybe at a team facility. More and more sim racing teams now are getting their own facilities in these buildings. It's absolutely incredible. But to do it here on stage in front of a live audience, in front of us two Muppets and everybody else that's organising it, there's so much different pressure from many different angles. You've got the photographers, the videographers, which I must say have been amazing this weekend. You've got everybody poking cameras in, everybody watching every move you do, whether it be looking at the sim, looking at the screen, just seeing what you're doing, watching online, everybody at home. There's every possible angle that these drivers have been looked at going on at once this weekend. That seat time, you can't replicate that sat at home.
And that's the thing. This practice is a great thing, but it's the quality of the practice, isn't it?
Of course,
You can go around on your own, but the quality is what counts. And an event and an environment like this, I've just taken a moment to actually turn around while I'm commentating and have a look at the arena, because the way that we've got this set up, our monitors and the camera that faces us is looking the other way, just to come back on air so you see our backs. It's just incredible to see this happen. We don't really see this enough. It's just incredible to see these cockpits, the crowd, everybody's kind of sat on the edge of their seat, aren't they? Everybody's kind of thinking, what's going to happen next? Who's going to take home the final prize? And I almost feel a bit annoyed that I'm a commentator, because I'd like to soak up the atmosphere for myself.
Stand and face this way and just watch what's going on over there. But to be honest though, everybody that's sat here, it could just be a split-second moment, and we've had a few of them this weekend where we cut to a shot of a car and it's off the road, stopped. And it's happened a couple of times, and everyone's here because that could happen. This is still sport. Anything can happen in sport. And honestly, it often does.
Yeah, exactly. That's a half a Murray Walker quote again. Murray's getting a lot of credit airtime on this one. So let's have a look then. 16 minutes left on the clock. 6:51 in game time. The United Kingdom lead from the Netherlands, with Spain and Australia making our top 4 runners. The Czech Republic from Singapore in 5th and 6th position. Greece, Japan, Indonesia and Brazil are the top 10 of our drivers of our nations in the Fanatec Esports Cup here at the FIA Motorsport Games. And basically, with just over 15 minutes to go, it's a fight between 4 cars as to who's going to get those 3 medals at the end of the day.
It is indeed. Now, that 5.8 second gap back to the Czech Republic, it's not looking too easy to settle down unless there's a serious incident right now. So Filippo Bukida is the one that needs to try and move forward, but again, 4.8 seconds there, that requires an incident. It may have got spread out at the front, but the pressure is still on. That's the thing. We've said this a few times, that in GT racing, when it's an hour-long race, there is a segment where everyone gets spread out, everyone has their own race to run, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's where people fall in and out of rhythms. That's where mistakes creep in. If you're all on your own, chasing numbers rather than a car ahead of you, that's when you get in your own head, and this is a very important stage of the race now. Last 15 minutes of this race, last 15 minutes of the final, last 15 minutes of the Fanatec Esports Cup, Paul.
Nice. Ben Spanky were riding on board for Slovenia. Now, that looks like, Slovakia, sorry, that looks like a lot of fun through his windshield, doesn't it? That's a couple of cars that are having quite the fight as well. And you've got to get to the point now, because we've talked about it. We spoke about it on stage. We spoke about it in the broadcast. Everybody loves this. This is why we do it. So when you know you're out of contention for the medal, Ben Spanker's got to be sat there, annoyed he's not in the top 3, but also thinking, I'm going to have me some fun, boys, in these next 14 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And we do this and spend inordinate amounts of personal money on our own rigs, our own equipment. We do this because we absolutely adore it. And there is nothing more enjoyable than going too wide with someone you know, someone you respect, and having yourself a real good race. And these guys all respect each other now because they've been at it at the top level.
And they take that at home. You know, they take racing online against these sorts of people at home. You know, it's amazing racing. And let's not forget as well, simulation racing. Esports, it's here to simulate what the real world does, and it does it oh so well. It really does it oh so well, and the drivers are a key part of that as well. The way these cars behave, the way they behave against each other, the way the circuits react to what the cars do, the weather, the conditions, the temperature, the lighting, us pair, all that, you know, and the audiences that we get here, you know, everybody appreciating this. And I think I've mentioned it over the course of the weekend off air as well, Paul, that we're not here in motorsport working here because it's a job, because we have to have it as a job. It's here because we love it. There's passion behind it. And you feel that on the esports side as well. All the cheers that the drivers were getting as they came up on the stage here. I absolutely love it. I really do love this. And I'm just going to relish these last couple of minutes, to be fair, and these last laps, because now I think the action, I don't want to say it's got to come to us, but with how it's spread out at the moment, this battle is the one to watch. And I think the drivers now just have to keep their nerves in the last few laps.
Yeah, I've got to say, this is not spread out, Chaz. No. As far from spread out as one could possibly get. We're riding on board with the rear-facing camera of the German car, so that is Konstantin Scharf, currently in 12th position, has been in 12th position for quite some time now. So Belgium has had enough time to go out to the library, take out a book on how to overtake on Paul Ricard, do some revising and put it into practice, because he's been following that Mercedes for so long. This is the time. It's now or never, boys. 12 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Belgium and Slovakia, what have you got? Put up or pay up. Now's the time to show us, because that German car does not need to stay there. They need to make their move.
Well, it's not budging either, to be honest. It's like all these McLarens are getting up to the back of this Mercedes and going, what's that?
Yeah.
I've not seen one of them before. I've not seen one of these in a while, at least. You know, there's the only one in the competition now. And there's so many McLarens out there that they're probably used to looking at each other and going, oh, I like this one make series. Yeah. But no, to be honest with you, it is good that we still have that variation of cars here, because it would be a shame if it was a 20 McLaren grid moment there. Very scary moment. But that's the thing. Even though the drivers are keeping it on the track, we've seen some scary moments that absolutely decimates the gap between them, doesn't it? And that knocks your confidence for the next few corners as well. Because of a little bit of slip, you can overheat the tyres, you can overheat your mind trying to save it, and it can be a bit triggering for the next couple of corners, to say the least.
And that is an exceptional point, well made. It knocks your confidence and gets in your head as well. It's like, you know, you often see in real world motorsport, when it starts spitting with rain, when there's a little bit of rain falling and it gets on your visor, it's nowhere near enough to have any impact on the grip on the car, but you see rain spots and you think, oh, reduce grip, and then you slow down. And that's the same thing. You've had a bit of a wiggle, so you think, oh, what have I got underneath me now? Have I got enough grip underneath me? And start compensating for it again. A little bit of a look to the inside, not really a pass. Fill your mirrors of the car in front. We've said it before. Make the driver in front think more about what's going on behind him than what's going on forward. And that little shimmer will set up the move that you're about to look at here, as Norway gets themselves a drive-through penalty in 11th for Tommy Husgaard.
Oh, Tommy Husgaard now. That's surely got to be track limits or something. I don't think we'll see him make contact with anybody. But this is great stuff from Banky. But what he's doing is taking the pressure off Scharf right now, and he's going to be very grateful for that, because these two McLarens starting to squabble, I should say. But it's Kuhn now having to do some defending rather than filling the mirrors of the Mercedes in front of him. Behind them as well, they've got the only Aston Martin that we've seen, with the Hong Kong machine of Jonathan Wong behind him. Probably the longest name on our entry list, as it's detailed here as the Aston Martin AMR V8 Vantage GT3 2019. One of the best looking cars in the world, though, when it comes to GT racing, and a fantastic noise as well from the massive beefy V8 in that car. Interesting that the McLarens are V8s as well, but a much higher revving turbocharged V8, so they make an interesting noise. I imagine, to be honest, that Kuhn made an interesting noise there where he saw the Slovakian car pop out from behind him so close to the right-hander, Paul.
Yeah, really good. And that's, again, it's not a genuine passing attempt. It's trying to unsettle the car in front, to make them make a mistake, to make them run just like that, like Kuhn's just done then. Run a little bit wide, compromise himself. Now, that Banky looks to the inside again, goes to the outside, now tries to cut back to the inside, now concentrates on getting the run out of this section of corner, get power down earlier, charge earlier to put himself in a prime position to go and do something magical further around the lap.
You could say he's banking on the car in front making a mistake.
Wonderful.
It is.
You wonderful.
Here's Haris Mitropoulos. Another driver again that, despite the very striking Greek livery on this car,
I do like
has
that.
fallen under the radar a little bit. We were saying earlier, we like these white liveries with a splash of colour on them, especially when it's themed colour as well. With the big Greek flag on that car, it looks absolutely mega on the McLaren. I do like the 720S in white, but to be honest, it's not something that Tommy Erskard is going to be focused on. He has a drive-through penalty, and as confirmed there, it is for track limits. And
as we suspected once again.
Yeah, we've not seen a lot of it this weekend, but it doesn't mean that it's not there, does it?
Well, I mean, just to sort of reiterate what we said earlier for anybody who didn't catch it first time, drive-through for track limits can be allocated in two ways. Way number one is as controlled by the software. So 3 strikes, and on the 4th strike, it gives you an automatic penalty. Also, it can be given if it's an obvious cut, i.e. there's a chicane, I'm not bothered about the chicane, I'll make it an oval. The stewards, the live stewards can apply whatever they see fit as well. So that is clearly a case, because it's so late in the race, Oscar, that he's just had 3 of those minor cuts. And the software, as I said before, if you go off track to avoid a crashed car or go off track just because you run a bit wide, it's still a cut.
Exactly,
there's no human logic in there.
Yeah, it doesn't look at context, does it, as to why you're out there
off
the circuit. If you've been bashed off there, you know, it's like, you're naughty, you're off the circuit. Naughty down the inside, actually, was Ben Spanky there, gets past Matthias Kuhn. Both of them have come through from the back of the grid in this race. They've made progress, steady progress, but now they're sort of holding each other up a little bit. And like you said, Paul, I imagine just relishing the opportunity to have a good old fight in such an amazing competition at a high level with everybody here watching them as they are. And we've not got long to go now. The light is dimming here at Circuit Paul Ricard, and I tell you what, now it is getting darker here. It's actually looking even more wonderful. I didn't think it could look much better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a fantastic environment and stadium, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. We've got the Greek machine then chasing down the McLaren from Singapore, Mohammed Alif, making his way into the second chicane here, real pinch point of the circuit. I love that camera there where we see them go away from us, slam on the brakes, really follow the weight transfer of the car around the corner and carry it through the exit, flick it one way then the other onto the back straight. It is mega, really mega stuff.
Yeah, it's a beautiful track, and I think you mentioned it before earlier in the weekend, maybe not necessarily today. Paul Ricard is one of those circuits that it just absolutely sensational for GT3 racing cars. It allows you to go too wide. It allows you to race with your rivals, and you can go too wide on multiple corners for good measure as well.
Well, here's some too wide as well now as the Brazilian machine of Igor Rodriguez continues to make progress forward. The two McLarens, well, bouncing off each other in a straight line rather unnecessarily, it has to be said. That was the Indonesia car of Presley Martono. They don't need to make contact in a straight line, to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, they're just giving each other a little love nudge to say, here we are, we're racing against each other. Absolutely feisty stuff, Paul.
Yeah, we like a bit of feisty. A bit of feist is exciting. So Igor Rodriguez once again out on track for Brazil, having himself a really good charge, a really good race at this moment in time with Indonesia. And we've got 5 minutes, 57 seconds left on the clock. Paul's question time once again from Mr. Chaz Draker, who for you is the unofficial driver of the day today. We've seen some sensational performances from everybody, really, so it's hard to pick.
If I'm honest, and this is going to seem really biased, I think I'm going to have to say James Baldwin. He's been leading pretty much most of the time we've seen him, but he's remained so solid throughout. You know, we've seen drivers lead races, and we've seen them get exciting and do not crazy things, but, you know, there's a bit more excitement. As I said before, exciting isn't always fast.
Yeah.
You know, they maybe put themselves in a bit of a risky situation. James just seems so calculated all of the time. If it's not him, it's definitely the Spaniard, Alberto Garcia Gomez. I mean, the fact that Lamborghini is up there in a McLaren fest of a top 10 is just brilliant, really brilliant. What about you?
I'd actually, for fear of being boring, say the exact same. Baldwin, because it's been an incredible performance. It's always hard to look past a winner.
Yeah.
But Gomez, not only, as you say, it's the Lamborghini that's in the top 10 in a field full of McLarens. Not only is he a medal winner, but he's had some damn fine racing.
Yeah,
Great defending in previous races. Intelligent racecraft. Was it the last race where he was being passed and then he repassed again, even though we thought he'd get dropped away? It's just never say die, never give up attitude. Meanwhile, let's talk about Singapore going to the inside now with Greece around the outside through. Greece gets the job done. Singapore drops down to 6 and Mitropoulos goes immediately on the defensive as well. Can he hold the car in tight? Yes, he can. We're going to go back to Brazil as well now. There's a round of applause for the audience. Brazil and Igor Rodriguez trying to find his way past. Not enough racing room, and this race is a gift that keeps on giving. 4 minutes left to go and everybody's not giving up yet.
No, this is all bragging rights now. This is all they want, is just to say, ha, I finished ahead of you. This is mental games. This is what they need to do, because you never know if they end up in a similar competition further down the line, if they can think, oh, we beat them last time, let's do it again. That's honestly the long-term mental game, and it's not just about this competition anymore. We're thinking 2 years' time for the next one. They could do it again.
It's also much more short-term. It's been, I'm sure, I'm speaking on behalf of everyone that's racing, an absolutely exceptional weekend without fail. And you also want to end it with a really good memory.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the guys like, oh, the last race I tooled around on my own. You want to do what this boy's doing now, Igor Rodriguez. You want to go too wide with 3.5 minutes left to go. Rodriguez to the inside. We have got not quite able to get it done and dusted in the first corner, but this is going to lead on to the next section of the lap and another opportunity again. Strike while the opportunity presents itself. That is the lesson that all of these drivers have learned today, riding on board now with Rodriguez. And let's have a look at how upset and unstable that Indonesian car is in front. It actually, Chaz, that looks pretty decent at this stage, doesn't it?
It looks very solid indeed. He's not really having to fight it at all, to be honest with you. He's just caressing it around that section of the circuit. And now Igor Rodriguez is going to tuck into the slipstream on this back straight, push the McLaren as hard as he can, and once again try and make a move just up the road as well. We've got Singapore all over the back of Greece now. This is Mohamed Ali and Haris Mitropoulos, and Haris is literally flinging the car almost off the road to stay out of the way. He holds the inside line, turns in a little bit late, but still nothing untoward going on there. Great racing between the two of them. Then, once again, we cut back to Brazil against Indonesia. Round the outside goes Igor Rodriguez. He's going to run a little bit wide, and there's a bit of a contact moment there. They're still right together, still banging doors once more. That's a good 5 or 6 times already now, Paul. But somehow, absolutely somehow, Presley Martono manages to hold on. What a boy.
Yeah, great stuff from Martono for Indonesia there, really holding on to the car, really holding back Igor Rodriguez as well. And both of these drivers have been thoroughly enjoying it. The audience are enjoying it out there as well. We've only got 2 minutes left on the clock. This is nearly over. The FIA Motorsport Games, Fanatec Esports Cup, the esports part of the FIA Motorsport Games in 2022 comes down to the final 1 minute and 53 seconds and comes down to this great battle between Brazil and Indonesia for the final spot in the top 10 placings, although sadly away from the medals at this stage.
Well, that's it. They don't go home with anything extra because of this, other than
Apart
maybe
from a big old smile.
just a bit of pride. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if they're both enjoying this battle, then good on them. We've seen a lot of drivers this weekend maybe battling for positions outside the top 10, bottom half of the top 10, not on their way to directly win any specific prize or progress into a final, but they've had an amazing battle, and we've seen them on the cameras smiling and enjoying themselves. And that's the thing. Again, it comes back to the fact that we're here because we love it and we enjoy it, and the drivers are the same as well. They're not here because they're forced to race against their will or anything like that. They're here because they want to represent their countries. They want to do the job and get the results that they deserve. And to be honest, it's a shame to see the Brazil car this far down after the weekend they've had, but still, they've continued on and on and on. And I believe now, with a minute left of this race, we may just get one more lap out of this man here, James Baldwin, who has cleared off a little bit at the front. 3.5 seconds isn't a massive gap, but when you see it in terms of car lengths, it's a pretty comfortable one.
And compared to what we've seen in the competition at this stage, it is night and day. Once again, round 54 for Brazil versus Indonesia. And again, Rodriguez to the outside. Again, not quite enough racing room. They give each other a little bit of space, but only just. Rodriguez can't get the car back to the inside. Indonesia keeps it nice and tight. Doesn't give any decent opportunities for Rodriguez and Brazil to find a way past. And that's going to go on to a final lap, because there's our race leader, James Baldwin, crosses the line before the timer hits 0. So we are on the final lap No.
I know, I'm a bit sad now,
I am.
actually. Honestly, though, at this point of the competition, you can stand there and say, it's gone so quickly. At this point, we started with the last chance races yesterday. Our colleagues DJ Clark and Jesse Lee were covering the qualifying quarterfinals, and it was just great fun to watch. We jumped on stage, got on with the job, and it seems like we only started a few hours ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone so quickly, and what a hell of a competition this has been. I mean, the countries that we've got represented here, all 57 of them, have all done a mega job, not just on the track virtually here this weekend or under this amazing roof that we've got. This building is phenomenal, but the fact that they've got them here, they've had the support from their governing bodies, their countries, to come and do this, and to be honest, I'm going to find it hard to not be a little bit proud to see the United Kingdom car leading its way around into the final corner.
I'm glad you said leading its way rather than taking the victory, because there's still half a lap to go,
Yes.
and absolutely anything
I can't
happened.
curse it.
Luca Lozio, remember, ran out of fuel in one of the quarterfinals on the final lap, so anything could happen. But you're right, there is James Baldwin at this moment in time for the United Kingdom with a 3.5 second just under lead from the Netherlands and from Chris Herker, and then Spain, the Lamborghini, is the last of the podium-sitting drivers, Alberto Garcia Gomez, at this moment in time. The big red zeros at the top of the screen, that means it is just the case of bring it home, boys, isn't it?
It is indeed. James Baldwin in the McLaren 720 SGT3 is coming round the final corner now to get the job done, Paul.
Here we go. So the final corner of the FIA Motorsport Games 2022. We have our winner, James Baldwin, and now it is time for the national anthem of our race winner, James Baldwin and Great Britain. Ladies and gentlemen, one final time for our winner of the Fanatec Esports Cup, Great Britain, and James Baldwin take the victory. Biggest round of applause you can do. That is sensational to James and to all our drivers and to all our medalists today. James, if you want to come on down when you brought the car into the garage, we're going to have a few words with Chaz Draycott. We've not won anything, but being on stage to that was quite spectacular.
It was indeed.
Guys feel?
It was indeed, actually, quite the moment, I must say. Also, we saw a little fist pump there from Garcia Gomez. Gets the Lamborghini third as well, it must be said. What a fantastic achievement that is. And Harteveld coming home in second place takes the silver for the Netherlands. Fantastic final race indeed. Plenty of drama early on. Drama in the closing stages. It may not have counted towards the actual sort of medal positions in the end, but still, I'm sure you'll all agree that that was amazing entertainment. Wasn't it? Wasn't that a fantastic competition?
Did we enjoy that? Yeah, really a very fitting way, Chaz, to end what has been a sensational competition, a sensational couple of days of racing. James Baldwin's really quick on track, but very, very slow bringing the car back to the garage. Come on, James. We want to have a quick word. We can only fill so long. Let's go. But it really was. Everybody, though, for all the drivers here and for all the drivers that are still watching that came out of the competition earlier on, a big round of applause for you. Look at that. Union Jack, our winner. Don't do the jump, James.
Don't do your ankle in.
Come on down, sir. Come on down. Mr. James Baldwin. Well done, mate. So, a gold medal winner for Great Britain. How's that feel?
Yeah, pretty good. Oh, that was such a stressful race. I mean, with like 10 minutes to go, I had 3 track limits, so I had to like be super careful. I'm lucky I had that gap, otherwise Chris would have got me. So yeah, over the moon, yeah, gold medal.
You've won more than your fair share of things. Give somebody else a chance. You've won a lot of things in the virtual space. How does this feel compared to your many other accolades over the years?
This is in this moment, this feels like the best. Like crowd, flag, like how tense it was. Yeah, this feels pretty good, I must say. Gold medal as well. I mean, Jesus Christ.
That's pretty much what we've been saying as well. I mean, it's different to just winning a trophy for a one-off race or something. You know, this competition is a massive international event, and not just representing your team, Veloce, or just yourself or any other sort of racing team, but it's representing the country as well. You know, it's on behalf of them, and it counts towards the whole thing. That must mean a hell of a lot.
100%. I said earlier, like, you know, I'm the only person here on a sim representing the UK. When you think about it, it's quite a big responsibility, isn't it? So, because how many sim races are there in the UK? There's quite a lot. So we did it, and I mean, yeah, I'm actually quite tired, so I'm going to go and chill. But
I'm not surprised, man.
Yeah, really, really happy.
Well, we're really, really proud of you, of course. We're very, very pleased for you as well. That fly's doing our head in. But honestly, it's just been fantastic to see it, mate. And from a patriotic side, we've had to try and keep it reined in. I sort of lost it at the end there. But
no bias.
It's been amazing. Your winner, everybody, James Baldwin. Nice one, mate.
Fantastic stuff, James. Well done once again. And of course, the way that these things work, we're going to be going onto the podium for our winners. Not today, not right now, not within this broadcast, but we're actually going to go on to the Paul Ricard race circuit podium to receive their medals a little bit later on, which is another one of many incredible experiences.
Yeah. Oh, it's balmy.
So I really do think this has got to be an incredible achievement for all of these drivers. And we sort of talked about it a little bit, Chaz, didn't we? That we got on stage when the lights were going, the national anthem, and it's a completely different thing altogether, a different experience than anything they've had before, yeah?
Yeah, totally. And, you know, we've spoken about the size of this competition all the way throughout, even just this part of the competition. It is monumental what everybody here is here to do. And regardless of which nation it was that crossed the line to take the win there, we'd have been up here thinking, wow, like, what a moment this is. And, you know, everybody that's been here as well, really enjoying it. The party started over there already. Everybody congratulating one another. 3 very deserving medal winners. And I must say as well, a big congratulations on every driver's respective result, because they may not have made it to the top 3. They may not have made it even to the finals, but to factor in the fact that they got here from wherever they may be in the world with their governing bodies, absolutely top notch. I tip my hat to them.
Well, I will say that everything's starting to get a little bit excitable down on the floor now, and people are starting to do a bit of celebrating. So it's probably a good time for us to do one final humongous thank you to every single individual, no matter how much or how little you've contributed to bringing this in. You are all champions today. The likes of AK Esports, to SRO Motorsport, to Fanatec, to that brought all these beautiful rigs, to the FIA themselves. It has been, Chaz Draycott, an absolute pleasure. So should we say goodbye together? Share it together.
Yes, we shall.
So, from Chaz Draycott.
And from Paul Jeffrey, goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Of course we were going to get it. Bye-bye.
Think about.
Thank you.